Well, hello everyone. Or should I translate it and say namaskaram or namaskara to all the incredible audience and the people present here? Today, I would like to take you on a journey, tell you a story, rather a linguistic journey and a story, my journey through languages and words of different dialects in India and abroad. So over here, when I'm talking about it, I'm talking about my linguistic journey, both as an Indian and someone who can speak some foreign languages too. And when we're talking about it as an Indian, the first question any self-respecting Indian is going to ask you is that, are you a North Indian or a South Indian? Not to say whether you're coming from the East or the West. So after all, that is rightfully so, right? Because India, being such a huge, diverse subcontinent, is an amalgamation of cultures where whether we are coming from South, North, East or West, every state, every 100 kilometers rather, the culture and the tapestry and the language even is changing. A vibrating persona is presented to us all along, right? So here, taking this context into perspective, let me tell you a very tiny bit of a story. What is that story? Now imagine a Bengali girl, typical North Indian girl, born and brought up in Bengal in Kolkata, who has been brought up listening to the verses of Nazrul and Tagore, reciting and reverberating the tones of where the mind is without fear, where the head is held high, where knowledge is free. This girl finds that she's getting married, and she gets married to a Telugu boy, typical Telugu South Indian boy rather. So what happens? A journey evolves, a journey of travel. A travelogue is written, a journey which starts from Kolkata and goes on to Madhya Pradesh, then on to Hyderabad, Telangana, Tiruvannamalai, Tirupati, and Arunachalam, Chennai, and among other places. Among this journey, what happens is that she gets immersed into a cultural vibrancy of the southern parts of India, which she had no idea of before. And from what evolves from there, that is something, a totally linguistic experience, which I'm going to talk about. This girl is none other than I. I had this experience after I just got married a few months back. And so, talking about this linguistic and cultural experience, I thought, as a North Indian, learning Ami Tomake Bhalobashi in Bengali, and Main Tumse Pyar Karti Hu in Hindi, or Main Tenu Pyar Karda Hai in Punjabi, or Moha To Sang Maya Hai in the Chhattisgarhi dialect, I had this language barrier and debate down to a pat. I was backing myself in the back and saying, I am perfectly all right. I'm going to rock in the South. But that was suffice to say not the case. What threw me for the loop was Nenu Ninnu Premistu Nannu when I heard that. Another language barrier and a language void for sure. All of these things are from Ami Tomake Bhalobashi to Nenu Ninnu Premistu Nannu, translating in English to I love you, represents the vibrant tapestry of Indian culture and languages once again. It is, when I first went to my in-laws' house in South, what happened was, or my condition, a linguistic condition, I would rather say. I repeat the term again, linguistic condition can be summed up in these two memes that I've made for you to see. When I first heard a rapid conversation in Telugu, my expression was quite like that. And the other time, when I thought that I would be able to interact with my new family by just learning one catchphrase. What was that? Annam tinnava, which means, have you eaten or have you taken some food? And I thought with that, I would be able to impress everyone. Again, that was not the case. And there were many instances where this pointing out at objects were going on all along. Talking about this vibrancy of the northern and the southern culture, talking about the way the languages differ, the cultures differ, let us take this debate, amp it up and add some cultural flavors to it. While in North, over here specifically in East, Northeast, like in Kolkata, where we celebrate the vibrancy of Durga Puja, in down south, that is not the case. What is more prominent over there is the reverberating tones of the Ganesh Chaturthi resonating everywhere. I could compare this to, in a way, only by a gastronomical adventure or a gastronomical example. It is like savoring that delicacy of a Bengali sweet shondesh. Remember the Nolen Gur shondesh? That gur that we get right now in Bengal? Comparing that to Pulya Darai or tamarind rice, comparing these two and having these two together. If you think about it, kind of a strange combination, isn't it? But why not try it? And talking about the northern-southern banter, the cultural language debate, well, it is something of an exciting linguistic journey, which can only be understood if I try to compare it with traversing the recipes of mache jhol or fish curry with sambar, and trying to explain the Bengali gossip or adda to a Telugu person. That is a journey and a story for another day. Let's keep it back. Talking about my recent experiences down south and my escapades rather down south, if I go a little bit backwards, when I first left my cozy life, sheltered life in Bengal and ventured out for the very first time as a tiny, timid little girl, I went to Punjab. And it was over there that the very first time I had actually understood the language barrier that is present in India. When did I understand that? Quite funnily enough, it happened when I went on my mother's advice to buy some utensils for myself for the first time. And I went to a store and I was unable to explain to the storekeeper what this is. Well, it is quintessentially called a shanashi in Bengali or tongs in English, but I was unable to explain the Punjabi term for it and hence could not buy it that day. Later on, I learned the same thing as an example when I went to buy some vegetables in the vegetable market, and I could not tell the term kheera, which is generally used in Punjabi or Hindi for cucumber in English, because we, as Bengalis, call it shosha. So again, language barrier. But I find that these barriers are sometimes something that we can always overcome if we try to do so. Language, language, language. What a beautiful amalgamation of culture you present. Something with words we have been using since time immemorial, and something that creates funny, anecdotal memories for all of us, isn't there? But Margaret Atwood has also said that it is the same language, the very language that we speak in, or the others speak in, that can actually result in giving barriers, making barriers between human beings, not allowing the amalgamation of culture amongst us. So what to do this? How to understand this? Let me bring it into a global perspective. Let us get out of India and turn it into a global map. Let us look at this picture over here, where thousands of languages are being spoken all over the world right now. So imagine being lost in translation in Japan, Germany, South Korea, Russia, France, Italy. Now imagine a French and a German trying to converse with each other without knowing each other's language, or having a common language between them. Is that really possible? I don't think so. But if we try to, we can actually exceed this barrier by making ourselves into something where we are willing to learn something new or willing to compromise in such a way. I have personally experienced this, that is why I'm going to say to you, I have experienced this very same thing where language barriers can be overcome, where we can go beyond words. How can we do that? I have experienced it when I went to Punjab and I have seen a Punjabi auto rickshaw driver help me navigate the roads of the streets of Punjab because I was unable to utter 2 sentences or 2 words in Punjabi. I have faced the very same thing when I went to Andhra Pradesh, and a roadside eatery Telugu staff helped me to understand the names of the delicacies so that I can pick out something to eat for myself. I had heard numerous tales of cab drivers all over India, specifically in temple places like Orissa or Arunachalam, where they try to speak up, utter a few phrases in broken English so that the people can get the directions to the temples properly. I have seen myself being a witness, a virtual witness rather, to numerous bonds that have been created between a German, for example, and a South Korean because of their shared love for a South Korean boy band or even some Hollywood celebrity. I have witnessed myself an Australian couple coming over to India and trying to learn or mug up a few Hindi phrases. Why, would you ask? Because they have fallen in love with our butter chicken. Again, food unites us all, right? And similarly, I have also seen instances where people come, unite, bond, and even stay in another country because the bond that is created even goes beyond words. Language, ladies and gentlemen, is something that can unite us, or it can be something that can divide us. It depends upon us how we take it. It can be something like a sign language where we can say, I understand. That is also something that can give us immense joy. joy. Language is something that we created, not something that was created for us, right? So it is we who should decide what to do with it, whether we are using ASL or whether using Hindi, Punjabi, Telugu, English, Marathi, Spanish, or any other language. It is this language which creates an amalgamation of thought, cultural processes all across the world. And I would like to say that it is this language which can also help us bridge those barriers if we allow ourselves to go beyond words. Why? Because language is something that was created to pass my idea on to you. I'm standing over here, but if I speak in a language where my ideas does not pass on to you, then my language is totally useless. If I'm over here speaking and then you, and you, everyone can understand what I'm saying, then my language is efficient. So, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you over here to come, be with me, and go on a journey beyond words. Let us see how that journey can conclude. And I would like to say, a question rather I would like to ask, like in the audience, how many of you over here have actually traversed for work or migrated from one place to another for work? Would you raise your hands? How many of you are there? Okay, I can see quite a few hands. I'm one of them. I've migrated here for work. So I would want you to recall, that instance where if you're from another language or if your native language is different, when you had come over here or any other place and you found that one person who belonged to your culture or spoke your language, remember that instant connection, that bond that is formed? Ah, what a pure joy, what a bliss it gives, right? What a beautiful anandam we can experience, what happiness we can experience because of that. That is the purpose of language, that is the purpose of connection, that is the purpose of language and words. That is what makes us come together, unites us, and gives us a bond that we cherish for life. So I would like to conclude with the words of Satyajit Ray, the bard, the salute, whom we salute, and say, ভাষা এমন কথা বলে বোঝে রে সকলে এমন কথা বলে বোঝে রে সকলে উঁচা নিচা ছোট বড় সমান উঁচা নিচা ছোট বড় সমান মোরা সেই ভাষাতে করি গান. It's basically saying that we speak in a language which can be understood by everyone, irrespective of their social standard or their position. We sing in that language. So ladies and gentlemen, this was a journey, the odyssey of my language, and I hope that by this I would be able to invite you rather to go on a journey and search your own language-laden tapestry. And I hope that at the end of this, you will be able to find your language to be as unique as anyone else in the world. Now, concluding as a very quintessential Bengali girl or a Bengali woman, I would like to conclude by saying, Dhonnobad, or should I translate and say thank you?